Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. Let's talk about the latest episode of Stargirl titled, can you guess? Summer School Chapter 3. So it starts off with a flashback to Christmas time, apparently a couple of years earlier, before the JSA was basically ended, the original JSA. Wildcat shows up. It was pretty cool to see him. And he asks another team member named Johnny Thunder, who has a special pen, for help. So they take off, but Pat gets left behind despite wanting to go with them. Back to the present, Corey's brother kind of gets his butt kicked a little bit by some bullies, not physically, but they give him a hard time before he arrives home. But it turns out he has the special pen in his room without realizing it. The pen turns into Thunderbolt and says that Mike now controls him and he can grant wishes. The new JSA, the team, the kids, have a powwow with Pat about the Shade, whose powers are apparently shadows. And it turns out that he originally killed Dr. Midnight, the original Dr. Midnight. The Shade then visits Courtney's mother, and he behaves very creepily because he is very creepy, while she looks into the collection that he wants that had belonged to the wizard. He takes a seemingly empty box from the collection against Courtney's mom's wishes. Meanwhile, Thunderbolt traps the bullies from earlier in a field of falling stop signs when they steal some Girl Scout cookies from a girl that was selling them on the corner. Mike says that he wants into the JSA, but Pat is against it because Thunderbolt is too volatile. Courtney convinces him to let Mike and Thunderbolt help locate the Shade. So they try to design a wish that they can ask of the Shade that won't have any sort of ill consequences, that won't backfire, in order to, make that happen, that they can be helped by him to find the Shade. And when they're done, it takes up an entire whiteboard, which is kind of funny because I had to be very specific. Anyway, Thunderbolt points to the wizard's old house on a map, but when the team goes there to confront him, Mike gets left behind. So it was kind of a parallel to what happened to Pat. They confront the Shade, who invites them to a creepy tea time, during which he claims that he has no ill intent. But Mike shows up and tries to, take him down by using Thunderbolt, but of course, the Shade uses his shadow powers to deflect the attempt, after which he basically tosses all of the JS members on their behinds with the same shadow powers and escapes. Feeling badly about what happened, Mike absent-mindedly wishes the pen into someone else's possession. He says, "I wish this were in better hands." And it actually zips itself right out of his hands and into someone else's. It shows up in some other kid's room. Chuck, the AI inside the goggles that used to belong to Dr. Midnight, that Beth is now using, momentarily comes awake. And he tells Beth that she and everybody else is in danger from someone or something called Eclipso. But then he goes offline again. The next thing we see is the Shade on top of the clock tower building. And he seems to be aware of this impending danger. And he seemingly expresses concern. He says something that makes it sound like he's concerned about what's about to happen. So we don't know what he's up to. He said he had no ill intent. This makes it look like he's concerned about bad things that might happen. So maybe he's trying to do a good thing, but he's creepy as hell. So you can't really, tell. There's no way to know at this juncture, but we'll see more about that next week, I'm sure. I thought this was a decent episode. I didn't think there was anything groundbreaking about it, but there was nothing about it that was bad. So, it's a good, fun TV. You get to see kids in super suits and doing crazy magic things. And the Thunderbolt guy was kind of funny. So there was that. And like I said, the Shade is creepy. So you do get this creeped out feeling while you're watching it. So, it puts you through your paces. So it was okay, but nothing earth shattering. There was no Green Lantern or anything like that. So that's about it. I'll be back with a review of the next episode. And until then, I take my leave saying, as always, peace and long life.